name is Karita Robert Green, and welcome to the Unwrap Your GIFT Podcast, the show where we dance in conversation about all things to do with life, how to find your gifts, and hear stories from inspirational people around the world. You will learn how to celebrate who you truly are, unwrap your gifts, and step into your true, authentic power. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I am so excited to be joined today by the amazing Teresha Young.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited, Karita, because you have launched your podcast and it's just such a privilege and honor to be invited to be a guest on your show.
I'm so excited that you said yes.
Of course. I was nowhere I was going to say no to it. It's just amazing. And I know that you've just got so much to share with the world and helping people to unwrap their gifts. And I just would never have said no to this opportunity.
I love it. Amazing. I'm going to tell everybody about your amazing self. So Teresha Young is an accredited and certified relationship master coach who mainly helps single and coupled up professional and entrepreneurial women to confidently achieve and receive a loving relationship where they feel secure, alive, and in their feminine energy. Safe. Based in the UK with a global business, she has over 16 years experience of developing, coaching, and mentoring individuals, showing hundreds of women how to find a deeper understanding of themselves to set themselves up for dating and relationship success. She is regularly invited as a guest speaker and to share her expertise in publications on the topic of dating and relationships. Her relationship and coaching articles have been featured in online publications such as Thrive Global, TUT.com, The Universe Talks, the International Coaching News, The Ladies Coach, and Couples Learn. Wow. In March 2022, she launched her own podcast, Real Relationship Talk, the podcast where she has open, non-judgmental, heart-to-heart conversations about love, self-love, self-care, dating and relationships with special guests. Wow. I acknowledge you. And I want to make sure I read every single word of that to get it right.
It's a mouthful, right?
It's a powerful. That's who you are in the world, and so much more, which we're going to start to unwrap today.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So tell me a bit more, share more about your journey, how you got to where you are, and just share who you are with the world.
Absolutely. I will start on the professional front. So what led me to becoming a relationship master coach and working in the dating and relationship industry? Well, where do I start? You probably hear a lot of people saying that, but I'm just going to boil it down to three key formative actual situations that happened in my life. So growing up, I was part of a family, the eldest of 4 children, and witnessed the dysfunctional relationship between my mum and my dad. So my dad was mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive towards my mum. And we had to witness that as children growing up. And it was incredibly frightening at some times, and having to protect and look after my siblings just in a way that's keep them safe, help them to feel that they were okay, because it was quite challenging as well growing up, and especially being the eldest and having that, well, I say self-imposed responsibility. I wasn't asked to do that. And I understand, why my mum stayed in that relationship. Now that I'm older, I completely understand it. And so from her point of view, she had met my dad when she was 17 years old, her first ever boyfriend, and saw that as the one, easily influenced by my dad when he came in. And through the course of the relationship, not only was there the violence that I spoke about and the mental and emotional abuse, he also cheated on her several times and fathered many children during that time. He was in and out of prison as well. He was alcohol and drug dependent, dabbled in some really heavy drugs at some points too. So there was a lot for my mum to navigate and for me to witness growing up. Now, it got to a point where after 30 years, my dad wasn't changing. So she knew that she had to do something about the situation. And she was giving, obviously, as I'm sharing here, she was giving him chance after chance to change, but he didn't have that will and didn't have that motivation to make a change. And if any change was really short term. So she decided to call the marriage to an end. And that made me witness how you can make a decision. My mum made a decision in that moment, and a decision that she has greatly benefited from now. She's living her best life. She's so free. She's so feeling cared for. She starts to look after herself. You know, her circle of friends have grown so much. It's become fully independent. And that really gave me insight into how relationships can work and people's personalities. Because my dad was a bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You just never knew what you was going to get from day to day. So, you know, I had some insights into how people can change actually on a day-to-day basis as well. So that was very insightful when it came to relationships. And myself growing up, I had such low confidence, such low self-esteem. You know, in the Jamaican world, people would call me Marga because I didn't have any weight on me, so to speak. I used to wear 2 pairs of trousers in order to make my legs a bit bigger. I was referred to at school as olive oil from Popeye because I used to have my hair pulled back in the bun. I wasn't bullied at school, but you know, some of the guys and the boys can find it quite funny to say these comments. But it really knocked my confidence and my self-esteem. And I didn't feel very included with the popular people as well, and the girls. And I felt extremely used by them. They would only call me to be their partner if somebody was ill or on holiday, for example. They would bring me in, then push me away as soon as that person came out. So what I learned growing up was that I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't good enough, or I was only good enough as a second option. I was never the priority, never a choice. So that really knocked me and kept me quite isolated actually. You know, at some points I would just go home for lunch. Actually, I did go home for lunch because I would be on the playground. I say playground, but this is more secondary school. So just out and just having no one to be with. So I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go home for lunch. I didn't live too far away from school and spend that time at home with my mum, because she was a stay-at-home mum at that time too. So I was able to have that connection with somebody. And so that was me growing up. So that was that whole self-love piece, self-worth, that really made me think, okay, the relationship with myself isn't good. In hindsight, I can see that. At that time, I had no idea what was going on, apart from just feeling really, really lost. Now, the third thing that really kickstarted me into my self-development journey was when a long-term relationship came to an end in 2009, I believe it was. No, 2008 was 2008. And it was a 5-year relationship with my first serious boyfriend. We were saving up for a mortgage. We were having long-term commitments. And it was the first person who I actually began to trust as a quote unquote man as well. A huge generalization, but I had seen various different behaviors of men that made me feel that they weren't necessarily trustworthy, and particularly with my dad too. But I was giving this guy a chance. Then everything seemed to be going so well. And then bolt out of the blue, I got a text message from him after 5 years saying that it's not working out.
Wow.
And yeah, you can imagine the devastation, Carita, that I felt in that moment. I thought, is this a joke? You know, I just thought, you know, what's he on? You know, what's going on here? So obviously I tried to understand a bit more, because like, there's no signs. Like, I didn't see any red flags. We were young. I mean, I was 19 at the time. So I was like, you know, what is going on? So I was 19 at the time that I met him, and then 24 when he actually brought the relationship to an end. So pretty young in terms of the relationship. But that knocked me, because it was a text message. There was no room for discussion about trying to correct it. He had made his decision almost like overnight. And that sent me into a deep, deep level of sadness, depression, hopelessness. helplessness, all of these feelings. I actually didn't think that I could breathe. I felt suffocated. I've never experienced heartache like I experienced heartache, like the physical element of it. I was actually at my grandma's house when I got the text message. I'm spending a weekend with her, just me and her. And I was literally rolling around on her patterned carpet in the spare room, just actually like scraping at the carpet, just like clawing at what is going on here. Like, I was so devastated. And it actually started to just eat at me slowly. On the front of it, people wouldn't be able to tell. I was smiley. I was still going to work, and I was a HR professional. Nobody could tell what was going on inside me, but it was such an emptiness within me. And it got to the point so badly. I just want to put out a little bit of a trigger alert here, that I just didn't want to be here in the world anymore, Karita. I said it's pointless. All men are the same. A huge generalization. I now know that's how I felt. I was unlovable. I was thinking, okay, nobody really cares about me. Even school friends back in the days didn't know. All of these mini traumas and triggers were coming up for me because of this one thing. But it did take, a good probably year and a half to get really to rock bottom. I hit rock bottom in that moment, and I just didn't want to be here anymore. So I took an impulsive overdose and said bye-bye to the world. I wrote my suicide note and I left it on the bottom of my bed. I was sharing a room. I was still at home at that time, so I was sharing a room with my sister. So I just put it. I had loads of books at the end of my bed. Actually, I had my sociology book, my business studies book, and I kind of cramped it in between, so it wasn't too visible for people, but it was still there should people start to rummage through my things if I wasn't to wake up. So I woke up.
Oh no!
I woke up. I was in shock. Now, of course, I obviously didn't do as much as I thought I had done in order to not wake up, but I woke up, and I knew in that moment, Karita, that I was given another opportunity, and I was not going to stay in this rock bottom stage where I was. I said, no, I'm not going to stay there. I have to do something about this now, because I've been given another opportunity. So I went to see my GP, and I expressed to her what I was thinking, the actions I had taken, attempted suicide, as they would call it. And she said, okay, we've got a couple of options. I can either prescribe you antidepressants, and I was just not into that, because I just thought, I'm not going to rely upon this. That can have a long-term effect. It just wasn't for me. It can work for other people, but I made a choice for me that wasn't going to be the path that I wanted to take. So I decided to do CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And it works for some people. It doesn't work for some people, but for me, it really works, because I've got a HR background and I'm into processes and worksheets and all of that kind of stuff. That's what CBD did. It helped me to write things down, to witness my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, and how that was impacting on the results. And when I realized that it all starts with the thoughts and maybe the belief that is running behind that thought, and I can change that. And that changed the way that I felt. And then that changed the way that I was behaving. And then I was starting to get better outcomes. I was like, oh my goodness, something that seems to me now very, very familiar, how many other people don't know about this? So I made it my mission to actually go out there and study more, self-development, professional courses. I got qualifications in coaching, NLP, in counseling, also did lots of personal development, communication skills, all of that, because one of the fundamental things about the way that we talk to ourselves when it comes to communication, our self-talk. So I learned all of that. I also done a little bit of the spiritual side, delved into Reiki, and started to understand myself more on a spiritual level. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this alongside my HR profession. I was a HR manager, to the point where I then became pregnant. I went on maternity leave, and I then decided that following maternity leave that I was not going to go back into the corporate world, and I was going to make it my mission to be a coach, to help people fundamentally with the relationship they have with themselves. That's how I started off. It was that whole self-love, self-care piece. Then I thought, oh, okay, the relationships we have with other people are impacted by the relationship we have with ourselves. So therefore, let me expand that and move more into relationships. And then it was relationships of all kinds. And then I got my niche, which was relationships on a romantic front, the intimate front, being dating and relationships there. So that is, in a nutshell, of course, I've had many setbacks and obstacles, and I could have, a whole, episode or two just talking about that, but I'm mindful about time. But those were the three things that really got me on my way of doing that professionally. And as I mentioned, I'm now a mummy to a daughter, an amazing, incredible daughter who's 5 years old, going to be 6 very soon. And dare I say, the love of my life.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful angel.
Yeah, she is. She really, keeps me motivated. And, I witnessed through her my journey, what led me up to being a mummy as well. Because I even remember at one point, I didn't even think I was going to be able to have a mummy. It's just one of those thoughts. I had family members who struggled to conceive. And so I inherited those kind of thoughts. What about me? I would never be able to be a mummy, those kind of thoughts. So, when she was born, I was like completely blessed and was able to really witness the journey up to that point as well. And it's an incredible relationship that I have with her too.
Amazing. Wow. I'm just saying wow a lot because I'm just like blown away from your story, your journey, who you are, the strength, the resilience, everything that is taken to be where you are right now today. And it's just, I think so many people will be able to relate to bits of your journey at different stages, and the mindset, the positivity, the strength, the power that you ooze from coming from your resilience, your resilience of that bounce back. And thank God that you are still here. That is just such an amazing miracle, and you have so much more work to do on this earth. There's definitely a plan for you.
I absolutely feel that. And one of the key words that you use there is resilience. And I feel incredibly resilient, even more so now. And because of that resilience, it's really given me that motivation to think about, so what's my next steps now? How can I continue to be of service to the world? And that's why I'm so blessed and fortunate to have a business that is global, so that I am able to reach various different continents in the world to help people to build that connection with themselves, and then that connection with other people. Because I truly believe that you really have to know, love and trust yourself first before you're even able to have quality, healthy, loving relationships with other people.
Absolutely. That self-love is important. And it's great that you teach people how to have that self-love within themselves first before they get into a relationship. So as a relationship master coach, just share for those of us out there who have no idea what that is. What do you do? Just give us a bit of a, just share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you read out in my bio, I really am focused on helping people to feel safe in love. And the whole thing about being a master coach is that I help people to really connect with their feelings. And it's a V strategy that I use in order to actually delve deep, because coaching is absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people come to me saying that they want the dating tips and the strategies, they want the questions to ask the person. And I said, you can ask those questions, but is the energy that you're bringing to that conversation, you can ask the exact same question, but if your energy is a bit funky, or you are carrying some sort of emotional baggage, some fears, some doubts, that question is going to come across so differently. So what I do is I help women, mainly women, because I do work with men too, but mainly women, whether they're single or coupled up, to actually, let's just revisit some of the things that you could be carrying around, or as I call it, the baggage that you might be carrying around. So that could be relationship patterns, it could be past traumas. I'm not a trauma therapist, but I can actually just understand a bit more about anything that they could be carrying around with them. Also, anything that doesn't even have to be relationship wise. It could be like I experience problems and difficulties at school, relationships with their parents, looking into somebody's attachment styles and just understanding whether they've got an insecure attachment style, and then that's impacting on their relationships with other people, whether they've got a secure attachment styles, maybe because they're so super duper secure that they're not actually allowing somebody to be able to really connect with them. This is why I love working with feminine energy too, because quite often as women, especially if we are working in the corporate industry, we can be very much in our masculine energy. And for those who don't really understand or haven't even heard about feminine and masculine energy, basically we all have energy. We're all made up of energy. Science backs that up. And it is said that we have feminine and masculine energy in us. It doesn't matter what gender you are, your sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. It's just an energy that we carry. And the masculine energy is the one that's the goal setter. It's the vision. It's the purpose driven. It's the provider energy. It's the do energy that a lot of women in corporate, also if you're a single mum and you're looking after the child and you're playing both the father and the mother role, so to speak, you can be very much in your masculine energy. So there's do energies. And when we're doing that, we are not necessarily paying too much attention to the feminine energy. So it's not activated or amplified. And that's what I do in my business, is to help women to activate that softness, that receiving energy, that being energy, where you are in flow, where you are resting, where you are just being very creative as well in the energy, and just allowing yourself to take your hands off the control and just be. And it's not energy of being submissive or weakness or martyr or being a doormat and the various other words that you can think, oh, I'm not going to be taking control. It's not that. It's just an energy that you can actually balance out as much with the masculine energy too. So that's what I do in the business as well. A lot of it is forgiveness work. So I actually have a 4-part framework or methodology that I use. So the first part of it is the carriage. It's called the 4 C's blueprint. So the first C is carriage. And this is where we start to look at, relationship patterns, any attachment styles, anything that you could be carrying around with you, fears, doubts. And we start to do some forgiveness work on that. Start to find ways to heal, start to find ways to release some of those energies. So that's the first part of the 4-part methodology. The second part is I call it ceremony. So this is where we start to do some mind-body connection work. So we are looking at you holistically, your body, your sleep, your exercise, the food that you're eating, just to make sure that you are housing your body well, because it is said that the body is the home of feminine energy. So we have to make sure that we are doing the things to rest. For example, are you taking your annual leave? Because a lot of people are not even taking their annual leave and holidays, and it's important that you give yourself that break to do that. Lunch breaks, various things like that. Take that. That's there for you. They're there for a reason. And some people don't realize that in actual fact you are still being productive when you're resting. So it's about getting comfortable with the rest. And I also have a couple of meditations that I will walk my clients through, affirmations we start to work on to really start connecting people with themselves. So it's a ceremony. It's a bit like a dance that we do in that module, which I absolutely love. And I've got some guest experts that have also done videos in terms of how to look after yourself with my coaching clients. Then the third C is connection. And this is when we start to look more deeply into your purpose, into, as you may describe it, the gift that you have and how you can have a greater sense of yourself. What do you stand for? Where are you now? In reality, where are you and where could you be? So we start to look at some goals and just really connecting people to who they are as a person, because we can wear so many different hats. The identities like mummy, employee, sister, partner, whatever that might be, we are wearing some hats, but strip that hat off. Who are you? really, at your core. So we do that work there. And the fourth C is communication, which is really important when it comes to the way that you speak to yourself, self-talk, alongside the way that you speak to other people. And communication is a big piece because it's just not about the words that you use. Mm-hmm. It's about your body language, it's about the way in which you say it. And also it's about how you can bring about a sense of closeness and intimacy with your partner, just through the way that you communicate. And that's one of the biggest hurdles that I see when it comes to dating and relationships, is ineffective communication. And because people aren't necessarily confident about the way that they communicate, and also they're just not communicating it in the way that's going to necessarily be received well too. So it's about, are you being emotionally charged, or are you being emotionally intelligent with the way that you communicate? So I work my clients through that too. So, and then they start to achieve, the outcomes that they want and the results. And sometimes they can be small wins. Sometimes they can be massive wins. Like I had a client, I was working with her for a few weeks, and one of her big major wins is that she really wanted to get engaged. And she set an intention, and I said, okay, so let's start working on your feminine energy and softening it, getting you comfortable with communicating and expressing yourself authentically. And within, I would say, it was 2.5 months of working with her boyfriend at the time proposed.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thrilled. She said she was doing a happy dance. She's like, I'm doing a happy dance. I was like, excellent. They're getting married in April next year now. And I thought, amazing. When we just start working on ourselves as well, and the way that we express ourselves, things can be so different.
Absolutely. Wow. 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 There is a big focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
That. So what would you say is your why? Why do you do what you do? What's your inspiration?
I think a lot of it was triggered by me. I think, because I had to live the experience. I had to feel the heartbreak. I had to feel the lack of self-esteem, self-worth, in order for me to have that motivation to help other people, and to know when I saw it work for me, I thought it can work for anybody else as well. There are various different therapies, of course, that you can take, therapies, coaching, find one that works for you, if you wanted to do that self-exploration. But it was that. And as humans, we are wired to connect. That's just how we are. And I witness personally, professionally, through also, family and friends, what you see on the internet, just how fragmented our connections are, and what that leads to. Loneliness, depression, sadness, frustration, pain, all of these various different emotions that it elicits. And my why is for people not to live in that state of survival. It's for them to thrive, not survive, to thrive. For them to be living life so they feel a little lighter and brighter each day, and for them to be able to see that progress, and to know that they are fully whole and complete. They don't need somebody to complete them. They really are complete and whole in themselves. Somebody will be an icing on the cake. They will come and they will compliment you. Yeah, absolutely. But you are already whole. And so my why really is that, in order for people to experience love, connection. And sometimes people are there for a reason, a season, a lifetime. It depends, but it's to see how you can take the lesson and the blessing and learning from those experiences. Of course, there may be heartbreak, there may be pain, time, and it depends upon what you're doing with the time. They say time is a great healer, but I firmly believe that what you do with the time is going to be more crucial. So that's like my major why. And not only that, my daughter, my daughter is my why, because I really want to be a source of inspiration for her too. My daughter, she has a diagnosed disability. And so when she was 18 months, we found out that she had global developmental delay. I had never heard of it in my life. So basically, she wasn't meeting her milestones. And then growing up from the age of 6 months, I really felt as a mummy that something wasn't quite happening as it should do. And I was like, why is she not meeting her milestones? I was looking at those milestone cards that you get, people, gift it to you when the baby's born. At 6 months, I'm now doing this. At 7 months, my cards were blank. And it was really getting me down because I was like, I was in mummy groups, parent groups on WhatsApp. Oh, look, my child's now doing this, rolling over in the cot, now crawling, sitting up. I was like, why is my daughter not doing that? Like, really baffled me. So I started to question myself, started to get really like postnatal anxiety, thinking, what am I doing as a mummy? And, what am I doing wrong? So again, lots of triggering things from when I was younger started to come up for me. But when she was 18 months, we got a diagnosis, say that it was global developmental delay. So we started to get various different therapies in place, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, because she didn't start walking until she was 3 years, 9 months as well. So she was very delayed. She's still nonverbal, currently nonverbal. So we've got speech and language therapy. So we started getting all of the therapies in place in order to see how we can support her and to help her to thrive. And then November last year, we took part a few months before, myself and her father and my daughter, it was trio whole sequencing. So it's a whole genome sequencing. So basically they look at my genes, they look at his genes, they look at my daughter's genes, and they try to see whether there's something genetic happening. And lo and behold, it came back that there was, and it's not inherited. There was a mutation of the gene called MED13L syndrome. So the MED13L is a gene, but is now a diagnosis of MED13L syndrome that she has. So there was a distortion, mutation of that gene during the conception process. So it kind of meant, aha, it makes sense now. It's not just global developmental delay where people say, well, they're trying to use the word impairment now because it's not always a delay. It actually could be long term. And so it was like, oh, okay. So there's some understanding. It doesn't change the course because apparently, well, there is no cure at the moment, and they're doing research to see whether there could be a cure. But it just gave some understanding as to where she is right now. And so the therapies are still in place. But she's my huge motivation because no matter what, she always does her best. She always does her best to communicate in a way that we can understand. And it takes for us, because she is currently nonverbal, to be able to understand what she is trying to get our attention for, what she wants, her needs and her desires. And my goal, my why, is to have her thrive in a world that is currently quite challenging. We encounter so many challenges out and about in public when it comes to accommodating her needs. I'm on a mission to make sure that educationally she's getting the support that she needs at school. And so to kind of be a source of inspiration for her so she can sit back and say, Mummy did her best. No, she accepted and she acknowledged the labeled condition that I have, but she also did her best to make me thrive, to almost sometimes push her out of her comfort zone so that she can just to see, can you do it? According to the label, you shouldn't be able to do this. But Mummy has said, we're just going to try it. Oh my gosh, you enjoyed that. Fantastic. So, she's my huge wife. I really want her to live the best life that she can live, considering the parameters that she may have growing up. So, and I've got goals now. I want to take her to Disney World. I want to take her to Lapland. I want to take her to all of these places. So she's my huge motivation and she's just so happy and content all of the time. Each morning I wake up and go into her room to get her ready. She's laughing already. I'm like, oh, the joy that she just brings. Oh, it's just amazing. It's just such an honor that she chose me to be her mum, because I believe in that spiritually. I believe that we choose our people, and she chose me and I chose her, and I would not have it any other way.
Wow, that is so beautiful. That just your why is your daughter. That is amazing. And she is such a gift to the world. Such a gift. And I acknowledge you for running a busy business, international, being a mum. You are really, really out there doing some big things in the world.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to So what would you say is your gift? And when I talk about gift, I'm talking about natural talents or abilities or skills, something that you're known for. What would you say would be your gift?
Well, of course, it's my singing voice. No, not quite. My gift, what am I known for? People say that I have a softness, that they feel extremely comfortable around me, that they can talk and I listen. And I actually listen to understand what somebody is saying. I have a deep level of empathy and I'm pretty intuitive too. I'm a Pisces. And for those who subscribe to astrology, we are very intuitive people. We are the oldest sign in astrology. So we have that old wisdom, apparently. So I have that element of intuition and softness and kindness, and I listen to people and I feel that they can come to me and feel comforted to and that's really, I don't go there to tell people what to do, because as a coach, and I just know that people have the answers within them, but I want to strike really meaningful conversations with you if that person is open to a conversation about how you can find a way forward as well. And so I would say that my gift is that comfort piece that I give to people. I don't have a big, bold energy. You're not necessarily going to find that from me. I am quite a natural introvert. Actually, it takes a lot for me to get myself on camera. And some people think, oh my gosh, we didn't imagine that you would be a naturally quiet person. But I am. I really am. But I push myself to get out there so that I can be of service to the world and be visible and show up. So I would say that is pretty much my gift. And I can connect very easily with people if the energies align, because of course, there has to be that alignment. But usually in the main, I do connect with people very easily and effortlessly.
Wow, amazing. I love that. You are a gift to the world as well.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that.
Took me a while though, because I think I needed to become connected with my authentic self. Yeah. That's still something I'm working on. I'm a human too. It's all about growing and still continuing to discover more about who I am. But the more that I can be real, the more real relationships I am able to develop and nurture with people. So it's an evolution process, and I'm not at the destination. I don't necessarily think there is a destination, it's a journey. So this is why I'm on this journey, and I will sit back and I will reflect, and I do good practices such as gratitude. I am constantly living in a state of gratitude, because it's an antidote to feeling the worry, anxiety, whatever might be popping up. If I can just say, okay, what's the blessing in this? What can I be grateful for right now? And so it's those various different practices that really have helped me along my journey to be able to share my gift as well.
Wow, I love that. And gratitude definitely is an amazing thing to do and practice daily.
Oh, gratitude is a must. Yeah,
it is. Gratitude is a must.
Gratitude is a must.
And I want to just say, what would you say, because we're wrapping up now, we've done an amazing interview, you've been great. Yeah. And what would you say is one of your favorite quotes that you have in your life? One of your favorite quotes?
Gosh, there's so many quotes that have jumped out at me. I like the softness of this one. That's a really good question, Teresa. I like the softness of this one. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. Because we don't often allow ourselves to dream. We set goals, and I understand that the dreams sometimes we are disconnected with, because we need to believe in our dreams. Take action upon them, of course, just sitting down and not doing something. Take inspired action. That's really important, the inspired action. But it's the dreams, and we can be so caught up in the busyness of life that we don't allow ourselves to dream anymore. Dreaming is something that you think you do as a kid. Oh yeah, you've got your mermaids, you've got your unicorns, all of that kind of stuff, dreaming. But as adults, we can dream too. And when you connect yourself to those dreams energetically, so much beauty can manifest for you, whether that's in love, life, and relationships, whatever it is. But give yourself permission to dream.
Give yourself permission to dream. I love that. I love that. And that is an amazing, amazing quote. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
So
thank you.
as we wrap up, what would you say is the message that you'd love to leave with the audience? What would you like to share with the audience today?
One key message I would like to share is that you are loved, loving, and totally lovable. That's one key message. And I would also I would invite you to consider that self-love is self-responsibility. We do have to take responsibility for our mind, our body, our spirit, for our boundaries as well. Set good, healthy boundaries for yourself and be committed to that, and in your relationships too. And boundaries simply means taking care of your well-being. Love means taking care of your well-being, and also looking out for the well-being of other people too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Teresha.
Oh,
you have been a blessing.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm
Oh,
so enjoyed this conversation, Karita. It's been amazing. And I wish you all the best for your podcast going forward. I know it's just going to just ignite the world.
I'm so excited. I just let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, and I'll drop the links below after.
Okay, so I am Teresha Young, Teresha, and yes, the H is meant to be there. And you can find me across all major social media platforms, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. If you just put Teresha Young, I'm omnipresent, you will find me there. Also, I've got a website, www.tereshayoung.com, or you can email me at letsconnect@tereshayoung.com. Let's connect at tereshayoung.com. That's where you can find me.
Amazing, amazing. Guys, remember, we are all born with a gift, and we all have special skills, talents, and gifts that we can use to be successful. And now's the time to unwrap your gifts. Subscribe to the podcast and see you soon.